Hello, and welcome to the darkest timeline.
Film podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Darkest Timeline. I'm David.
I'm Ian. I'm Dylan.
And I'm John.
And today we watched a movie that asked the question, what if Jonah Hex was transported into the future, but also really liked Van Helsing movies, and Mad Max was his chauffeur?
You've done better. I think you got to start workshopping these a little more beforehand.
That's right. We watched Priest.
Yeah.
Pretty sure no one guessed that by that description. Well, it's in the episode title.
Yes, we watched Priest, a movie about vampire hunting post-apocalyptic clergy that kick ass and take names. And
They're all out of names.
They're all out of names. In fact, I don't know the name of a single one of them.
I know like all the actor names, weirdly, because that never happens in the movies we watch. Well, the three main ones that we cared about. Paul Bettany, Maggie Q, and Carl Urban.
Who is Paul Bentley?
The main character.
Wow. I don't know who
He's the Vision in...
well, I mean, that I can see, but he doesn't even really bring a lot of acting gravitas to there.
Not in this movie.
He's awesome in...
And not in that movie either.
You know what? Is he the same guy in Canterbury Tale? Or no, A Knight's Tale?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's great in A Knight's
That was
Tale.
good. Two times in a row, 2 weeks in a row, we talked about Knight's Tale.
He's actually the only guy in that movie, I think. The only main character that's actually based on a real person.
Yes. And I love the fact, well, we're not talking about Knight's Tale. Maybe some year we'll do a season of the best possible timeline. And Knight's Tale will be in there.
And we'll just love movies for a few weeks. That'd be nice.
Yes.
Be a good turn.
So, John, do you want to do a little tag team plot?
Oh, God, no, because yours was awful.
You go first and just point to me when you're ready to pass it off.
No, don't do that.
This is going to be a train wreck.
Don't point to him.
It's going to be a train wreck.
Don't point.
Don't you point to him. You got to follow your own rules. Don't point to him.
Okay, wait, what?
No, I mean,
In a world.
No.
I was about to say, that was weird.
Not everything needs to start off with "in a world." That is so played out.
In a universe where there used to be vampires running rampant all over the world, but all of a sudden, priests magically showed up thanks to God. God placed them down, and they had magical talents, but also the church needed to teach them a few things too, like prayer, and also like carrying beads and maybe a few knives. So they went out there and they started kicking ass.
It was just straight up Catholicism.
No,
Basically.
Prayer, beads, knives. I think they had all three. Yeah. That's the Holy Trinity, right?
And next thing you know, they beat the vampires, drove them back, and they were in camps? ? Reservations, like the Japanese, unfortunately.
Or the Native Americans. We didn't keep the Japanese in camps for decades.
That's true.
That's Native Americans. It's slightly different.
Yeah, it's kind of close, but anyway. So, they went to work because there wasn't any more vampires to be slain, and they were trapped inside of a city. Next thing you know, vampires suddenly showed up to a random small town where Jonah Hex probably was once upon a memory. And Jonah Hex showed up from the future, just like David said.
Carl Urban. Wait, I was going to talk about the future.
Okay, maybe. And blah, 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 blah. Things happen. The priest asks the church, can I go and save this little girl who is my niece?
You're barely out of Act 1.
I know, it's so much.
No, there's not.
Not really, but this is fun.
You can tag out at any time.
But you can't.
Okay.
No, you don't. You don't tag out. You do it all.
Long story short, they defy the church. Dum, 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 dum. Then they go after the vampires. Why he brings this kid along that doesn't even know how to fight vampires, no one knows. But he brings him along, reconnects with a kind of flame, maybe, could be flame, but they somehow save the world temporarily. Maybe the villain dies, who knows? His hat still lives. And they live to see another day. The end. Or is it?
Dun, dun, dun.
Well, there wasn't a sequel, so for all intents and purposes, yes, the end.
Well, it's based on a comic book, and I've never read that comic book.
I don't think nobody cares to read it.
If it was a decent adaptation, which I kind of doubt it was, because they rarely are, but if it was a decent adaptation, then technically the story might continue, and there is a way to find out.
And it's only been 5 years.
Has it? Was this 2011?
Yeah.
Really?
Wow. It seems like so much longer ago that I saw this movie.
Right?
I feel like I saw this before I saw Hex, and that was like the year before.
Nope, 2011.
Wow.
It was in May.
You know what? That sounds right, because me and my brother went to see this movie Once Upon a Memory. So, yeah. And that was before I moved out to L.A.
Wow.
It's been like 10 minutes. You've already said Once Upon a Memory twice.
Really? Oh, that's kind of sad. Anyway.
Ian, don't be a brat.
Okay, who wants to start? With Priest.
We're going to do good stuff first, yeah?
Are we going to do good stuff first?
Let's do good stuff first. Okay, there's one thing that stood out to me above and beyond, which was the set design.
Okay.
I thought all the sets looked great,
Yeah, they were awesome.
including the costumes.
Yeah.
And even I feel like there's a tattoo on all the priests' face of a cross.
Nice touch.
And I felt like that could have been done poorly. But it was light enough that it didn't call too much attention to him.
Right.
But still prominent enough to be like, okay, this is part of the order.
It looked like it was a tattoo that had been there a while.
Right.
Yeah. Brown. Started fading
And
away.
it wasn't just like a boring cross. It was like kind of a stylized cross with little like different points and different angles on it in different places.
Yeah, so you go into the big cities and they have a Blade Runner feel to them, and that was really cool.
They don't have a Blade Runner feel to them. You're in Blade Runner now.
Yeah, they looked like Blade Runner, but when you go out into the hinterlands and you start dealing with the sheriffs and the Wild West and things like that, it becomes like a rusted steampunk, diesel-y punk like Wild West, which was just cool. I thought that was the best part.
It was a nice touch.
You know what? The Blade Runner thing, it was more like it was in the Blade Runner universe, like what Vatican City would be there.
It's true. That would work.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That's all, Dave. That's all.
Short, simple, sweet. We don't need a 7-hour podcast.
Well, we've never done that, but we can try. New goal, Dave. 7-hour podcast.
Not tonight.
Okay. The best thing to me, I would say that actually the fight scenes were pretty good. The fight scenes were pretty good.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that Maggie Q was the best thing to me, but that's so vain, and I'm not a vain guy, so let's just be real here. Okay, the fight scenes were awesome. Well, not awesome. That's a little much. They were good. They were good enough for me to keep my interest, along with the CG guys, the CG that they did use, which helped because every time they fought the monsters, it conveniently happened to be nighttime. So, or they were in a very dark place. So the fight scenes seemed more realistic. It didn't seem fake, and it seemed like it was well choreographed and planned out, where it could have been cheesy, it could have been lame, but they did a really good job. It seemed like they put some thought into it, which kind of sucks that there isn't a sequel, because of, you can tell where they really put some effort into this film.
Yeah.
For what they had.
I remember it had some pretty heavy marketing. I remember seeing posters and things all over the place.
Yeah, there used to be some. Yeah, there was like some really good marketing.
And on the fight scene stuff, it's been a good while since we watched like a properly violent action movie, and this thing had decapitations and blood and gore and all that stuff. Yeah. It was visceral, and it wasn't shying away from anything.
Right.
And the closest thing we've come to in recent memory is Blade Trinity, but even in that, vampires would just turn into dust when they died, so it was like nothing violent ever really happened.
Yeah. So I think they did a really good job with this film. I mean, just as far as choreography, anyway, just the good stuff. Yeah, the choreography was good, and I felt that they did a really good job, especially with what they were given, because this kind of film is kind of a long shot in a sense. Not really, but in a sense. But I felt they did a good job.
I really liked how big the world felt.
Yeah.
Because whenever they had to do anything, it was just like, we've got to get on these bikes that go 200 miles an hour, and it is going to take all day.
That's true.
Everything is forever away from everywhere else in that. And it just shows them going by so much all the time. You're like, man, they are traveling to get to where they want to go.
8 statues of liberties.
So there are those just big cities and then tiny outposts. Apparently just hundreds of, just thousands of miles away from each other, for God's sake.
Yeah.
At least, thank God, there's a train.
I kept thinking about the logistics of that, and where do they go to fuel up?
It doesn't matter.
Actually, their bikes were solar powered.
Really?
Oh, yeah, huh?
Yeah, they showed like plugged in charging at one point while they were on a rock.
Future.
Yay! Yeah, good solar. Yay! Well, we get good solar, but we also have tons of vampires, so it's a trade-off. Yeah. Vampire war for hundreds of years, relative peace, new vampire war. Great solar.
Yeah. You know, why not?
Something that Dave didn't like, but I was from a world standpoint, one of the things I liked was the logistics of the vampires in the movie following through towards Karl Urban's character. Where in this movie, vampires are like an evil race that's been around for hundreds of years and warring with humans. Whoa, they're not evil. They just do it. Okay, they're just a race that kills people. It's like, in this movie, they're basically Native Americans if Native Americans were all chupacabras.
What?
But they're just an eyeless race of like nocturnal hunters, basically. And they're just monsters. And the vampire queen infects Karl Urban's character, and he becomes the first traditionally what we perceive of as vampires in most fiction. And I like movies that strike out and change mythology, because mythology is fiction, and fiction isn't set in stone.
True.
You can change things, and I like it when people change things.
Except for the fact that they took indigenous people and turned them into eyeless monsters.
Well, I mean, if you want to make that parallel, like, the thing you focus on.
They put them on a reservation.
I don't know, did they call them reservations?
Yes,
they did. Okay, they called them reservations. But that said, there were other types of reservations throughout history. It's just the type you're focusing on is an Indian reservation.
It's a Western.
There are wildlife reservations.
But when have animals just started maiming humans in packs?
We would burn it to the ground.
That's true.
I mean, look at that world. It looks like they did. Yeah.
That was basically a fallout.
Yeah, they kind of talked about that in the beginning. They said that the war, they destroyed each other, but they also destroyed the world. Oh yeah. So I guess nukes everywhere.
The world looked like crap.
I mean, they showed cities, or like they showed a city at one point, and it was like cut in half buildings and everything. Like it'd been hundreds of years since there were proper cities.
Well, also in the beginning of the movie, these vampires are ruthless, man. I mean, it's like, which makes me think, how strong are they? Because they are super strong. In order for them just to, if I'm just flying by you and all of a sudden I just do this and your arm lops off. Or if I just move my arm to the left a little bit and I hit the middle of your body just explodes. And it's like, how strong are these vampires, man?
Yes, all of that was very visual.
Yeah, it was like, dude, so these priests are going after that? Wow.
Well, the priests are also following comic book logic, so I think they're good.
Yeah.
I had a problem with the priest. It's not balanced.
They're superhumans.
Mm-hmm.
It said that. It
followed
said
a line
that they were not normal.
You see, the key to enjoying a movie that you shouldn't be able to enjoy because of logical problems is to just latch on to the logic of the movie and take that as just absolute fact.
Suspend your logic.
Yeah, you don't need your suspension of disbelief. You need to follow the movie's variation on the idea of suspension of disbelief.
Because it's their world. They're creating.
Yeah, it's their world.
Yeah,
and
their rules.
if you aren't the audience for that world, there is nothing you can do to like that movie unless you convince yourself to accept that logic.
I just don't understand why they would put them on reservations. Why not kill all of them?
Oh, yeah.
I was
confused.
I was so concerned.
Yeah, that didn't make any sense to me either. But in the logic of the movie, that's the decision they made, David. And I abide by that.
I was confused by that too,
Yeah,
David.
that
I
was-
was like, when they told me, I was like, wait, why are there reservations?
Yeah, they
It
got
was
them
a
all in
decision
one
they
spot, burn them,
That seems like a serious bureaucratic oversight.
right?
We can't kill all of something because that would be blah, 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 blah.
The Vampire Rights Coalition came about.
The familiars got onto Twitter, and it was just
Wait, so are we moving into the things that maybe didn't make sense or that we didn't like?
Oh no, we're still on things we liked. We just had a short segue.
Because I was about to say something I didn't like in that film.
Okay, well, so we've said what we all really liked. Now, what did we all kind of like? Wait, what?
no. This is the good miscellaneous.
Yeah, just miscellaneous good shit.
Okay,
Just
when Maggie Q threw those rocks and Paul Bettany jumped on them in the air to kill that dog vampire
That was pretty
The Guardian Vampire.
the guardian vampire, yeah.
I thought that was dumb.
It was so dumb, but I think it worked okay in the
Visually.
logic of the movie.
And
Visually looked
this
cool.
world does not have physics in any
It
way, shape, or
does.
form.
It does. It has comic book physics.
But see, you're missing the main part. When it comes to God, you have no limits. There are no limits.
You
to
can
it.
throw those rocks, and they can propel a man into the sky if he jumpeth upon them.
Yeah, well, you see, yeah, the way she was throwing them up, and he was pushing his foot down at the same force, and so they just canceled out, and it became like a solid surface for him in that microsecond. Yeah, that's how physics. That's how physics work.
It was in slow motion, Dave.
Yeah.
These are facts.
So,
That was a defeated sigh.
yeah, you lose, Dave. You lose.
I wish Brett was here. He'd support me.
He just said it
No,
was
he just said
terrible.
this is terrible. This is terrible.
Guys, this movie was terrible.
It was just mediocre.
It was okay. It was okay.
Well, I got to enjoy myself for parts of it, so whatever.
Yeah.
You got lost in your alcohol, Dave. You let the god of alcohol poison your mind into hating the movie.
This movie was dumb.
Also,
Oh,
it was
yeah.
very much about not liking organized religion.
But not pulling the trigger on it, because you also have the heroes who are
Well, he said
people of faith.
It's not liking organized religion.
But
It's not saying you should. It's saying It's not liking churches. It's liking faith.
And then that brings me to another point where it bothered me that the organized religion was personified by that old white guy who was like Gandalf Jr.
Wait, you mean
Pretty sure they're like the same age, but sure.
So and that guy was just so hell-bent on insisting vampires didn't exist that even
No, that they were not a threat anymore.
we're not threatened anymore. And even to the point where when Jonah Hex,
Paul Bettany, the priest.
when the priest puts a decapitated head at the person's
Monarch or something.
the
What is it called?
Monsignor or whatever.
Yeah.
The main guy's feet. There's like a head rolls out and touches his feet, and there's a vampire head. He's like, "No, this is trickery."
charlatan.
He throws the head out, and then he says, "There are 400 more like it in the crashed train right outside of town."
Right,
And then he's like, "No lies. There's no such thing."
And it just bugs me so much when the conflict in a movie or book is just someone's willful ignorance. That is clearly the hero has the evidence, is making a very clear case. And then like, no, that would threaten my power. I would rather wait until a horde of vampires come streaming through my city.
It is a common trope.
It is, and it's a terrible one.
It's one of my least favorite.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't like it, but sadly, it kind of reflects real life.
People with opinions stick to their opinions contrary to evidence.
Yeah,
But in a movie, I just want to smack the person because
it's not the best.
the stakes are always so high that why don't you just listen to him?
Well, especially even outside of reality, especially in movies, people can be belligerent to the point of dying for ignorance because it's a movie. So it's even more pronounced.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially, I mean, in this one, he was way heavy-handed in his ignorance. So we've moved on to stuff we didn't like about the movie.
Yeah, we have.
There are still things you could like about the movie. Well, I'm just saying, we've clearly moved on to stuff we don't like. But we're not supposed to.
Just go for it.
I don't know. I mean, in that scene though, I think it would have made more sense if they would have showed why he probably felt the way he did instead of just, I just don't believe it. Yeah, you know.
Well, he was in that Vampire Rights Coalition, clearly.
Quit fang shaming me, man.
Oh my god!
I really liked.
I would have loved a huge payoff because I was thinking the whole time. He's in on it with the other guy. He's in on it. For some reason,
he's a familiar.
He's a familiar. He wants to see them.
They have weird eyes.
Well, yeah, but maybe he's like another different kind of vampire. Another new vampire or something. Or maybe he's just one of those guys that's a sellout, a huge sellout. It's like, hey, I can give you so much power. You know how strong we are. Don't make us come in there and F you up.
That is another one of my least favorite tropes. Just like the regular human that's eventually killed for their ignorance of thinking that the evil person will actually fulfill their end of the bargain at the end.
Elijah Wood in The Last Witch Hunter.
Exactly, like that. That's one of those other things I really don't like. That was dumb.
Yeah.
But I did like Carl Urban in this movie.
He looked like an orc.
What do you mean he looked like an orc?
He had his fangs made him look orcish.
He had vampire fangs. He just looked like Carl Urban with fangs. Do you think Carl Urban looks like an orc?
I do now.
That's weird.
You're weird.
I
take that as a compliment. Damn it, Jim, I'm an orc, not a doctor.
I didn't like him initially, and it's not his fault. It's the writers and probably the director's fault. I wish they would have built a stronger connection between the two. Like, oh man, we're brothers. Oh, yeah. So that way it would have been more of an impact as far as like, oh, this is the fallout that they have. And this is like how much it pains Priest that, oh, my brother, and they didn't even really give him a name. It's just, all of them are priests. Why is he? Oh, Priest.
They don't get names. I can guarantee you, I don't know this for a fact, but I can still... I don't even know this like in passing, but I can guarantee you there's a cut of this movie where they're clearly closer friends in the beginning.
Yeah.
Probably so. More production interference.
There is probably 18 minutes up front in this movie that was cut that was the they explained in
the cartoon
in like the second half of the cartoon that actually takes place in that time period.
Just to be clear, we are talking about Priest and not Jonah Hex. This movie also had a 30-second to a minute-long interlude of cartoons.
So I need to figure out what other comic book movies were made in like 2010, 2011, because it seems like they were really into throwing exposition at you with a cartoon in the beginning.
That is weird. That is a weird choice.
It's because it's a comic book and they're like, I want to do a movie and I want to have a cartoon, so we'll do both.
But this is 2010, 2011. Like, we are well established into the whole idea of comic book movies.
That cartoon was pretty cool.
It was.
It was a better one than Hex.
I would have liked to see this on like Cartoon Network or no, Adult Swim.
Jesus, just Cartoon Network midday.
Yeah,
like
great.
Early morning children's block.
Right? Yeah.
And Saturday morning cartoons
with the Looney Tunes.
I think that this was a workaround so that they could be more violent. Because in the cartoon, like, it is gruesome. Like, people are popping like zits, just like, wah, and then the person gets decapitated and their body just explodes like confetti. You can't do that in real life.
Well, I mean, you can if you have the budget.
Right.
Well, Maggie Q did wrap that one dude up in her whip and just explode him.
That was nice.
Oh, yeah.
That was really cool.
That was like the only time, though. That was the only time someone was straight up exploded.
That was tight, too.
But other people, well, I guess mostly it was vampires being destroyed.
Yeah, there wasn't
pretty
really
bloody, too.
Humans. The humans were being destroyed in a cartoon.
Yeah.
I feel like I would like cartoon movies like that, except I wouldn't want to have to go and buy them because I would feel really weird.
Netflix.
Yeah, that's what Netflix is for. So you don't feel shame anymore.
Netflix actually has some pretty okay
adult cartoons.
Well, I mean,
cartoons, yeah.
If someone goes through your Netflix history, then you can feel shame. But other than that,
so many cooking shows.
How shameful.
I wish there was more of a payoff with what we were talking about earlier, the Monsieur Monarch or whatever, Supreme, whatever his name is, to where I genuinely thought, like, because he is so against him going after the vampire, so against. Oh, yeah. It's like, there's something more here. Why do you not want? Are you in on it with these guys?
And would have found out in the sequel,
or just have someone show up and like kind of talk to him. It's like, do they know? And it's like, not yet, but we need to mobilize or something. And then in a movie like that, that would have been at least interesting, where it's like there's some payoff to where he is so against Priest going after these vampires that this is the reason why.
Well, to be fair, that could have happened in a post-credits thing, but we didn't watch the credits. Well, let me say something that I found very interesting when we saw the end of this movie, because when we chose this movie, and I saw it when it came out years ago, like 5 years ago or whatever, and I went through it in my head, and I remembered a lot of the stuff that happened. I have pretty good memory for movies, and I didn't remember this ending. I remembered a much better ending that just did not happen.
You probably just manufactured the ending.
Right, which I feel like must be the ending of a completely different movie that I just do not remember. But in the ending that I remember, that I was just disappointed when Maggie Q smashed her bike into the train and blew it up and the movie ended, I was like, oh wait, how did I get that wrong? But in the version that I remember from 5 years ago that just didn't happen was they exploded the train too late, and it crashed through the gates of the city, and then the vampires went into the city, and it turned out that the clergy was in on the entire thing from the beginning. The clergy had been brought over to the vampires' side.
Yeah, I don't know what movie you watched.
Yeah, I don't know. That didn't happen, and I would have let that. And then there was a giant crazy battle in the city, and I don't know what movie I'm pulling that from. But that's the movie. That's the ending that I remembered from Priest.
Yeah, you probably saw another.
I guess I was just traumatized by how just kind of non-climactic that ending was, where it's they blew up the train and they won. I guess that was it.
And then
it was okay. It wasn't a horrible ending, but I remembered one that was so much more climactic.
And then even a priest and a daughter, it was kind of it was not that much of a reunion. They didn't even talk afterwards, and it was just kind of not that huge of a payoff. Where
they shared a look, kind of.
Yeah, he rubbed it, which was kind of creepy. He rubbed his thumb against her lip as if, he was, I don't know. I don't really want to get deeper into it than that, but you get what I'm trying to say.
Oh, you're saying he's a priest and that's all he can do, huh?
It's his daughter.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, if you're going to rub your finger across anyone's lip, do it to Maggie Q, okay? Because she was the one that was basically saying, hey, I have dreams about you, about us doing it, even though I've never done it before. And
she didn't say that. She said she had dreams.
There's insinuation, there's basically context clues, and basically she put her hand on his face, to let him know, hey, I want to kiss you. She didn't say this, but it was implied. He took it off and said, I can't. What?
He was still holding a flame in his heart for the woman that died in the beginning of the movie.
She is not coming back.
Yeah, she's dead.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how death works. But that was very recent. His former love just died.
Did he cry? Did he even show any emotion about it?
Yeah, he looked kind of sad a little bit. Maybe that was just about being in the movie. I don't know.
That's why he's perfect for playing Vision, because Vision is a machine and doesn't really show emotion.
He did great as Vision.
He did good, but Vision didn't really have that much acting range, so there's not much demand of the Vision.
The wonder in his eyes and the perspective of Vision, I thought it was done very well. I really liked Vision in that movie.
Oh, no, Vision was good. No, I'm not saying Vision was bad.
Which movie are you talking about? Because I liked him in both.
No, I'm saying he did good as Vision, but it's not like that role, because he's a machine, is really asking a lot acting-wise of him.
You haven't read any of the really good Vision comics, have you?
I'm talking about the live-action movie.
Yeah.
And this guy playing Vision.
I'm saying that there's a lot of Vision stuff to draw from, and I think he did a good job. Oh, hey, Priest. So Priest. Yeah. Another comic book movie. But, okay, so are we to the things we didn't like about the movie?
Yeah, let's push through this, man.
Yeah, so what was your least favorite part of this movie, Dave?
Come back to me. I don't want to go first.
John, what was your least favorite part of the movie?
My least favorite part of the movie was their just lack of explaining certain things. It just happened. Hey, transition. And it's just like, wait, but how? You know, for instance, when Priest jumped into the hole, and it was like, well, just like, yeah, when you asked.
He's a superhuman.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, you could at least showed him maybe grabbing onto something, swinging across, and, you know, being cool.
Not a waste of time.
It was a long drop. That was a really long drop. And he's still human.
Well, mostly.
Yeah.
He's superhuman. God.
And just like what I was talking about earlier with like just certain interactions, like the acting was really dry throughout most of this movie.
Especially that sheriff.
Oh, he was awful. Yeah, he was. I mean, I don't think he was bad. I think he should have gone to a few more acting classes for about 5 months.
Well, I bet you could even find movies that he was in before and after this where
that was probably good.
Where he gave good work.
It just seems like he just memorized the lines.
Even Paul Bettany's not great in this movie, and Paul Bettany's a good actor.
Yeah, this movie was just okay acting wise. I put down 2 different times about character personalities. And one, if I can find it, it was saying that it was basically saying it was dry. Yeah, there's not much character personalities with the characters. They were one note. Almost every character was one note. One note characters.
Pretty much.
And it was boring.
Right.
On a character standpoint, boring.
It was almost as if the director was giving them notes like, okay, that was good. We're going to do it again. Could you just tone it all down? Just
somber as hell.
You're adding too much life into this film.
We're post-apocalyptic here. People dour. We got to get dour.
You're at a 7. I need you at a 2.
Especially the sheriff. Oh, and I happen to call him Captain Obvious because every time they'd run across something so obvious that the crowd could see, that the audience could see, he would point it out. And he was like, they went into a town where there was plenty of dead people and stuff was still burning that probably shouldn't be burning. And he was like, well, looks like we're too late. Oh, you think? Wow. Thank you, Captain Obvious. Do you want to give us any more tidbits on what's going on?
A lot of people are dead.
And that's basically all I have to say. I mean, the writing was good and the arc was good. Just the characters could have been better. Give them more room to actually bring life into their characters.
So one of the things I didn't like was also a actor thing. It was that they wasted Paul Bettany on giving him an American accent because he is not great with an American accent. Well, his American accent sounds like Keanu Reeves. Yeah, kind of. No, Paul Bettany's the main guy. He's the priest.
Oh, where's he from? Australia?
He's I think he's British.
British? Oh.
Pretty sure he's British.
Okay.
Everything else I've seen him in is he's been an English guy. So yeah. He's but I really like him, and this is. As much as I like him, I don't really like him in this movie because his voice is so bland. Because there's a lot of people that can do. There are a lot of British actors. There's a lot of British actors that have really good American accents,
and they can do feeling in them.
Yeah, like Tom Holland, the guy who did Spider-Man. He's British. In the
Seriously?
Yeah. And
wow. Do we have any American actors left?
Benedict Cumberbatch. He's British, and he's in Doctor Strange. I really like his Doctor Strange voice.
Look at his name, though.
Well, yeah.
Well, yes. But he's also famous for being British. Yeah. So.
I feel like when you say the name Benedict Cumberbatch...
Cumberbatch.
Yeah.
You just can't say names right.
Like, every time you say it, egg gets poached somewhere.
Or a crumpet comes out of the oven just right.
Somewhere tea is being poured.
Yes.
To the Queen. Thank you, Cumberbatch.
Oh, he said it again.
There's another toast.
But as much as I like Paul Bettany, he's not one of those guys. Maybe it was just this movie, him trying to do a more gravelly American, but he didn't give great American, and he's such a better actor than that.
He can't have feeling as an American.
Isn't the super monarch, isn't he like British too?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was playing a British person.
I mean, isn't like he
I don't know.
Super monarch? Wait,
you know what I'm saying?
Super monarch, the guy who was all for the vampires. Yeah, in my version of the movie.
You know, the one who was saying, no, don't go and fight the vampires.
Okay, that brings up a good point.
Wait, I have another point about that.
about the accent.
Well, about Paul Bettany's accent, that he had a really hard time keeping it while he was yelling.
Oh, yeah, you did.
Interesting.
Because while he was yelling, you're like, oh, little British slipping in there.
For a movie where it feels like everyone's just mailing in their performance, a little bit of English accent could totally class up the whole thing. Having to do nothing other than just have an English accent could have added. He's so shallow of a character that would have made him infinitely deeper.
That's definitely a very American thing to say.
It's definitely an American opinion.
Do you disagree?
I mean, like
I'm American, Dave.
In the UK, they'd be like, he just sounds like a person, doesn't he?
Depends what kind of accent he has.
And his wife and daughter were just hot. That wasn't believable in the movie to me. His daughter and wife being so hot, and they're somewhere at some faraway post.
Here's the thing about that,
in
John.
the desert.
I think it was Outpost 10.
John,
Outpost 10 is the hottest woman.
That's true.
the vampires like ugly people. They just like fuggos. They want to eat them.
All the ugly people died out ages ago.
Yeah,
well, all the ugly people are familiars. We saw them.
There is nothing but
that's
hot people.
They're only breeding hot now. That's all. It's just breeding up.
Congratulations, we've reached the singularity.
So only breeding hot people. You got great solar power, vampire war. But
Hot people and solar power. Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, as long as you train the hot people to fight vampires with solar power, it's a win-win.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Oh yeah, there was that line in the beginning in the when they were talking about during the cartoon when they were throwing all the exposition at you that you didn't really need, where they said, and they were trained by the church in the art of vampire combat.
They've been losing so far.
No, I think they were like at kind of a standstill until that point, until they like made the priests.
How?
Well, they showed them like with all the
cartoon.
like in the cartoon, like all the wars, like cannons and.
As strong as they were,
Well, they would fight them during the day. They'd f up their hives and bring sunlight in, and
they send out their stupid vampires. This is a bench team. It's a bench squad. Come on, second, third string, get out there and die.
Well, hey, a few hundred years of war, and the humans won, so they didn't lose before that. So I think they were doing okay. So what else didn't you like? I've got a line that was said that I didn't like, and I'm reasonably sure no one liked it.
what's that?
That would be when Paul Bettany was teaching. What was his name? Hicks. Almost Hicks.
It's Captain Obvious.
Captain Obvious. Well, his name's Hicks. All right. Hicks. Was it Cole Hicks? I don't care what his other name was.
The sad thing, I don't think anyone cared just because he wasn't that good.
They were priest and sheriff. That's all.
Yeah.
Basically.
So he's teaching the sheriff.
Yeah, he's teaching the sheriff, and he says, there are always 2 points, A and B. Know both, and you'll kill a vampire. I'm like, there's a little bit more to killing a vampire than knowing. Well, there's aim. That was the point of what he said before.
It's wind trajectory.
That was the last sentence of like 8 sentences of explaining how to kill a vampire.
I'm not going to repeat all that.
Yeah,
shit,
but
though.
that didn't make sense though.
It didn't.
Yeah, it did.
No,
It's
it
like
didn't.
Vampires move differently than humans.
How do you know though? How do you know how they move to point B? Just because you tell anybody can say they move from point A to point B.
They move differently, and you have to not think about killing humans. You have to think about killing something that wouldn't move the way you would think it would move.
That helps so much.
It does.
That's like me saying, "Hey,
John,
you didn't know there was rocket science, but guess what? There's rocket science.
There is.
There
is. And if you know, John, if you know point A and point B, then you can do rocket science. That's just how it works.
As long as you use E equals MC squared.
No, that's too many letters. A and B. As long as you know that there is the ground and there is the moon, then you can do rocket science.
I mean, I was just like, when I got that explanation, I was like, okay. Do you care to explain? Thank you, Yoda.
It was a little cryptic. I got it.
And he wasn't bright enough to catch on to it.
Not really.
No.
He did shoot a couple of vampires when they were in a corridor.
Well, he shot the zombie dog that was standing still.
That's true. No, it wasn't standing still. It had just gotten up, and as soon as it stopped, he shot it. So it wasn't really standing still. It had just taken a breather.
Yeah, that was a dumb line. He's not a good teacher. No wonder there's only 6 priests left.
He wasn't paid to be a teacher. He was paid to kill vampires.
Wait, what did he say? He said, point A meet f***ing point B.
Point f***ing B.
Oh, sorry. Okay, yeah. Point.
Semantics there. Where the f***ing goes.
That is crucial.
and he had the same face throughout the whole movie, which was awesome. Captain Obvious stayed true to his facial expression.
I was surprised they didn't change actors in the middle of the movie as well.
Just like a baseball game in the 8th or 9th inning, you want a new pitcher.
Yeah.
Dude,
Just in that last scene, it's like, Sheriff, that's the f***ing sheriff? Who's he? Why is Denzel Washington in this movie now?
Dude, that would have been hilarious if they just would have changed characters. Like, wait,
just like not
no
even
explanation
talk about it.
Right.
Yeah. Sheriff, get over here. Yeah, I'm over here now. If they changed the character every 20 minutes or so, if the guy wasn't working out, I feel like there was something else in here that I didn't like.
I didn't like the way they treated the priests. Like, the faith part of it just bothered me. It was just dumb. Like, the people who are the good guys who are supposed to be, like, devout, they prayed every once in a while, but they didn't really. You got a movie where they
felt like they were breaking their religious code, but they still wanted to believe. That was their whole thing.
And they felt like it felt like it was a movie written about the Catholic Church by people who have never stepped foot into a Catholic church.
Or people who left the Catholic Church and they were like, screw this. But, you know, the thing that kind of annoyed me about that was they didn't really. They just gave a half-assed explanation like, now since the vampire wars are over, the priests are going to work throwing coals into flames, working regular jobs. And for some reason, mothers are telling their children don't talk to the priest. It's like, they saved your lives. And you're going to sit there and tell them don't talk to the priest?
Right. And here's another thing.
Douche.
The priestess tells the priest, like, I have to work in a coal mine because I have no transferable skills. Pause. Your entire city is run by the Vatican, and everyone needs to take confession all the time.
Hey, like, they have video confessional booths for that.
Right.
Don't gotta pay people. It's a rough economy. It's Blade Runner.
I mean,
when every aspect of your government is run by the church, I think you can find 6 priests' jobs.
You should.
Well, they were warrior priests. They weren't like preachy priests.
Well, even if they were warriors,
they're fighting for the good Lord.
What they got? The alternative is shoveling coal.
Yes, clearly. Well, haven't you ever been forced to work in a coal mine because you could only do computer programming?
You know, the 6 months that I had after college are none of your business.
I put down that apparently in this film and in this world, record players are the bee's knees.
Record players.
Hey, you know what? Like record players stand the test of time, unlike CDs and MP3s. I thought of something else that I thought was, I don't know if I liked it or disliked it, but I thought was interesting or kind of funny. That it's a post-apocalyptic world, and everything is f***ed, and there were vampires, and that every settlement is 9,000 miles away from every other settlement, and there is still a snake oil salesman peddling his the vampires won't get you with this magic juice blessed by the clergy in a truck that clearly can only go like 25 miles an hour.
But is this the crazy thing? What happened to him after he got bit and turned into a familiar? They were like, oh, put him to good use, which we never saw later on in the rest of the film.
I mean, he just kind of became a random familiar, I guess. You probably saw him again, but he had a bald head and you didn't recognize him.
But what's the point of even that line and put him to good use? How? Are you going to send him back to the town? Then that would make sense. You send him back. I have this juice that'll help you. And then as soon as the people got close, and now that would have made sense.
I don't know if that would have made sense, but it would have been something else.
I mean, for them destroying the rest of the world, I don't know.
It doesn't make sense that anyone wants to be a familiar in this world.
No,
when you're looking at Dracula is like a sexy, cool undead with hypnotic powers, and you get to live forever. Like there's a lot in that retirement package. Here it's like, hey, do you want to crawl on all fours, only have fangs and no eyes? Yeah. Live on a reservation and eat chicken blood?
Great.
There's no reason
well, I mean, you can't get turned into that kind of vampire.
You can't?
No, that's a race.
I thought that was what the familiars were waiting for. That's the whole point of a familiar.
But I don't think you could become that kind of vampire. I think that was that Carl Urban is the only person. He's the only human vampire. Yeah, he's the only human vampire.
Totally lost on me.
Well, he said that out loud. He said, "I became the first human vampire," or something like that. Yeah.
He did say he was the first.
Yeah.
And only.
So Dave, how would you fix it?
I don't want to go first. I always go first and give the crappy answer, and then you all give great answers.
You know what? I'm not sure we all give great answers. There's usually like maybe 2.
Yeah, so I don't want to go first.
So John, how would you fix this movie?
I would recast 90% of the film.
With Megan Fox?
Actually, you know what? Yes. I would thank you, David. That's a good assist right there.
Is it?
He's like Dennis Rodman and maybe I'm Scottie Pippen. I don't know.
He's a white, overweight, bearded Dennis Rodman.
Hey man, Dennis Rodman did his part. He was a role player where he kicked reporters' nuts and he grabbed balls.
So how would you fix the movie, John?
Basketballs.
You would fix it with basketballs.
No.
He could have grabbed other
It's a
balls.
basketball movie now.
Yeah, no. Okay, so if I was to put Megan Fox in this movie, I would actually have her be the fucking queen. Who is this queen, and why should I care? I don't even. There wasn't even any exposition of why they're doing what they're doing. It's just we're here and we're f***ing up, shit, and it's like, okay, so what? Why do I care? And so I would put Megan Fox as the queen. I would actually put more people as vampires. I know they were probably trying to save money. Hey, let's just do CGI.
Well, that's probably just how it was in the comics, where vampires were a different kind of thing than people.
I mean, and that was fine, but connection, or something.
Then it's not an adaptation of Priest.
Okay. Well, Megan Fox, she's the queen, or she can transform. She's the queen. She can do stuff that others can't do.
I'd need to check the lore on that in Priest.
Thank you, Dylan. But anyway, this is how I would fix it. So I would recast majority of the characters.
Can we say right now, before you keep talking about lore and stuff, this is how we fix the movie, not make a good adaptation?
It's true.
I always try to make a good adaptation. That is absolutely
Whether it's
not
with Power
true.
Rangers or Superboy, I try to make a good adaptation.
Megan Fox.
Megan Fox. I would cast Megan Fox. She would be the queen. I would recast everyone else, especially the sheriff. Oh my gosh, I would recast him. He is so forgettable, except for the fact that he sucked. So I would do that. I would explain more things, maybe. I would even have a guy, because they have this in every movie. I'm not even complaining about this in every movie. There's a guy. Hey, man, the order of the church kicked me out. I need some stuff. I need the stash. And he's like, you know what? I got you. I got a special blade thing that emits light when you throw it out. It's like a light bladed grenade.
What is that? What is this? That dumb Constantine movie?
No. This is Priest. Except he has gadgets now, except for besides building himself. Because the only thing we saw him do was cut bullets, cut across on the bullets.
It's true.
So what did they really do? They didn't even explain that. I don't know.
Well,
for the guy.
I think it was so they'd actually kill vampires. I'm not sure if that'd actually work. I'm pretty sure regular bullets would have worked all the same.
It wasn't explained.
The sheriff, they were for the sheriff, and the sheriff shot vampires and they died. So I'm assuming they worked.
Although
Unless he was just pulling his leg, and any
crosses
bullet
had
would work.
no effect on them
At all.
at all.
Well, clearly, because Keith Urban had one on his forehead. Well, that's a tattoo. That's not like a physical cross.
I would have
Still.
the lead character and Maggie Q kiss or fondle one another or something.
Just a really awkward scene of standing fondling.
Yeah,
Just a wide shot, too. Like, we can see them head to toe, just standing there, sort of touching each other.
I've never done this before.
there was a perfectly good wasted zombie dog that they could have.
Don't you get back on that, literally.
They could have laid on top of it and made passionate love.
Why?
I don't know. It would
And
have gave
Hicks
me
would
something.
watch. I don't...
Because he's a perv, and he would have gave the same facial expression that he gave throughout the whole movie, which is constipation and confusion. But yeah, I would have done that, and that would have been a better movie. And actually, I would have had some kind of something between the vampires and the church, because it's like, oh, so what you're really trying to do is this or something. You know, just give me something. Because now it was just a movie that looked cool. It looked cool. I mean, I'm pretty sure everyone on here is like, man, visually it looked great. Mm-hmm. But the story was just there. And I'm done.
So, Dave, you figured yours out?
Yeah.
Go for it.
You're going to get weird, aren't you?
Yeah.
I can see it in your smile.
I think this movie is really good for a crossover.
Huh.
And
I'm pretty sure I know exactly what you're going to say.
I'm thinking Airbuds.
What? Airbud?
Like the puppies?
I'm sorry, is
puppies?
that what you thought he was going to say?
Not quite, but close.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was way off of what you thought.
Yeah, no, like put Airbuds in this. This would be fun for the kids.
Yeah, let's
This
watch.
violent-ass movie.
Yeah.
Watch that vampire jump over and slash that puppy in half. Yeah, that'd be great.
They would lick and cuddle. It would be cute.
Wait, are we talking about Maggie Q and Paul Bettany?
Yeah, because that's what I wanted to see.
Lick and cuddle.
We don't even have to take out all the characters, just some of them, and just treat them as though they were people. Because honestly,
Replace Hicks with a dog. It's just a dog named Hicks. And the girl loves the dog, but not in that way.
the acting we could get from a golden retriever puppy would be about the same as what we got from Hicks.
Actually, you know, I would have liked to hear one of the vampires actually talk.
I don't think they did. They did it a couple of times. They went.
That's vampire language.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I can't even speak that. So I'm sorry.
Oh well,
Well, just because you didn't go to school for that doesn't mean that they're not.
You got to grasp
speaking.
onto the logic of the movie, John, and you got to speak the vampire language.
Dylan, how would you fix it?
The entire movie is spoken in the vampire tongue because it's been a very you have to learn how your enemies work, and so after hundreds of years of fighting the vampires, all the humans just appropriated the vampire speech because they were always using it anyway to like speak with the good vampires and whatever that were probably around in the earlier movies that they didn't film, and so everything's just in and there's no subtitles because you just get it because it's in the logic of the movie.
No subtitles.
No subtitles.
Okay.
Because you know the vampire tongue because you're one of the people that's lived through the apocalypse. The vampocalypse.
Yeah. Vampocalypse. I think you should coin this now. Yeah.
It's probably already a thing. That's probably something in some bad B horror movie. This would be a good B horror.
Or in some YA novel.
Yeah, but this is it'd be all in the vampire tongue, and I think that's the only thing I would change, except the ending I mentioned earlier that I remembered the film having would be the ending it had, where they actually crashed into the town and there's a giant fight, and then the Monsignore would be all like, and Paul Bettany would be like, and then they would have a fight because he was actually on the side of the vampires. That's why he spoke the vampire tongue a little better, if you could tell when I did it.
Okay.
Ian, what would you do to fix this movie?
Man, what the
You know, that would have been cool to see some of the Monsignor have them like be better than the priests. That would have been awesome.
I don't know. I guess I'll just go.
The clergy did have to teach the priests vampire combat.
Which makes
So
sense.
what better way to learn vampire combat than to learn it from a vampire?
It's like Yoda and Mace Windu, just ready to go.
So Ian, how would you fix it?
Well, I guess since all of you went absolutely absurd with it,
What are you talking about? I made a good adaptation of the priest comic, and I was more inclusive to the vampire race.
you didn't change it. You changed the language.
I changed the ending.
You did a dub.
I put in puppies.
You did. Mine was the most sane out of them all.
I did too, but you couldn't tell because they were speaking the vampire tongue.
I thought some of those sounded different.
Yeah, there was
This is
some puppies.
Monsignore.
He's a puppy now.
He's a golden retriever, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that golden retriever's standing there in that little black robe, just going. Nah.
No. That was more southern vampire.
You don't know where he's from.
I think I do.
Okay, Ian, how would you fix the movie?
Well, I think I'd go ahead and actually fix the movie a little bit.
Weird.
I just do some little tweaks. Just let Paul Bettany be an Englishman because he can act as an Englishman.
But he was probably American in the comics, Ian.
Comics don't have accents, Dylan.
Depends on the writer and how racist they want to seem.
Perfect. I'd let Paul Bettany be an Englishman, and I'd go ahead and say that people could have emotions. And I'd throw Dylan's ending onto it.
You'd greenlight the emotions?
I'd greenlight emotions.
That is a bold choice.
Yeah.
All right.
English main character, good with emotions, Dylan's ending. And it'd be a much better movie.
I actually kind of want a sequel to see how they fare.
I mean, it'll never happen, but I think it would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
But never ever in a million years.
Okay, well, we're gonna pull cards now, and we're gonna decide on the next movie we watch.
The magic of the card shuffling machine, yes.
John, what would you pick if you were to win today?
Sticking with my guns, Howard Duck.
Howard the Duck. And, I'm sticking with my guns, too. X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Well, I guess I'm sticking with my guns, too, and I'm going to the barbed wire.
That's old Hermit Ian.
I want to see Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance.
I'm pulling for you, Dave. I really hope you'll win, because that is not a great movie, but that has some great Nicolas Cage in it.
It's been far too long since we had Nick Cage on the podcast.
It's true. Well, he's only in 2 superhero movies.
All right. So
That's true.
I'm just going to go off the top.
John, have you ever won?
No.
It could be your day, but, probably not.
And just read off your cards as quickly as possible.
Okay.
We don't need to waste time.
We don't need to.
Paula Kaplan, Maritine Beastwick, Thunderball, 5 clubs.
You can add a few more words in there if you want to.
Nope.
Just to connect those thoughts into a cohesive thing.
Nope, 5 clubs.
That's a joker. Give me a new card.
No, you lose.
We never made that rule. Those are supposed to be taken out of the deck.
No.
Yeah, pull from the top. You don't get a real choice.
Okay. I have the Cigar Girl.
Nice. I remember her.
Played by Maria Grazia I don't speak Spanish.
Kusanota? In The World's Not Enough.
100% sure that is not what it's
a 7 of hearts.
What do you got?
I've got Jenny Flex, played by Alison Dooley in 1985's A View to Kill. It's 5.
Oh my God, Dave, John, did you win?
I have Tatiana Romanova. Actually, she's giving me a look that says she really wants me right now.
She's
playing Daniela Bianchi. 1963 from Russia with Love.
Before you say your number, we should probably say these are James Bond cards for people that didn't realize that from the movie titles.
It's a deck of James Bond women cards.
We should probably
Bond Girl cards. They're called Bond Girl cards, for God's sake.
We should probably just get a normal deck of cards so we're not
We got one in there.
constantly confused by the names and
Yeah, we don't have to read the names. That was something we just started doing.
Yeah.
Now we've done it for 6 episodes or something.
We should really drop that.
Yeah.
So John, what was your
let's
number?
drop that now.
I have Bruce Lee cards. Anyway, 10.
Quack, quack.
Howard Duck.
What the duck?
Yeah.
I really hate that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Ian, not John.
This is like a historic movie.
It is.
This is
Historically
back.
bad.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
Is it normal to have a bittersweet moment where it's like, yes, I won, but wait, oh no, we're watching this?
That's how Brett lives.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, anyway, go to DTLPodcast.com to check us out. Like and subscribe at Google Play and
Stitcher.
iTunes and Stitcher. Like and subscribe on those, on the ones you can. Rate it. That'd be nice. And then follow us on Facebook and Twitter. We're at DTL Podcast, and we check out hashtag DTL Podcast. So, do that stuff. That'd be cool of you.
Love you.
Vampires don't move like humans. Their body weight pulls them into concentric patterns. You need to anticipate their trajectory to get a kill shot. There are always 2 points, A and B. Know them both, and you'll kill a vampire.